Hi everyone, this is AG. I wanted to do a quick video this week. Oh whoops, my phone was just about to go off, so give him that. Um, okay, so I wanted to do a quick video talking about the new Katamari game that had come out, and between me doing a few other reviews. I'm trying to get this format down so I can do like one a week. So hopefully that will like help me put up more videos. Um, I'm planning on doing a Christmas theme review next week, and then yeah, and then get on with the Pokemon and Smash Brothers reviews after that because I still haven't completed like half of Smash Brothers, and I still need to do a little bit more in Pokemon uh to get the full review. So probably Pokemon even after Smash, probably into like January. Um, But how about we actually talk about Katamari? So Katamari Reroll was released onto the Switch the same day as Smash Brothers, essentially, and that that causes some problems. A lot of people kind of forget that some games come out when a giant release happens. But like me, I've always been sort of like that. Oh yeah, I played Katamari once in the past. Like it's the type of game in which once you play it, you never really forget about the series. The only game that I've actually played in the series before was Katamari Forever on the PS3. So and so that basically but I like got like only about like 3 levels into it before I stopped playing. So to I if you didn't know, Katamari is like a game for like the PS2, and the the overall style of the game is very distinct. So I'm trying to think of a way to adequately describe it without immediately going into how weird it is. But how about we at least talk about the controls? At least in this game, and I believe the other games, you had to use both sticks. And at first, you would immediately think, okay, I'm moving around the ball with my left hand and then moving the camera with my right hand. But that's not actually the case. You're moving the thumbsticks like you would be moving the actual hands of the person. I've got the microphone in my lap here, so I can't demonstrate it with my other hand. But when it comes down to the controls, it's very different, and you can tell that it was. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I've had this kind of cold for a while, and hopefully it won't persist too hard. Um, on the Switch version, at least, they added motion controls to the game, and uh, I didn't use it that much. Kind of hurt my shoulder a little bit to play it, but it was at least an interesting addition to the game. Um, but I feel like I've been kind of stepping around it a little bit. Any time that you look at the game, like the 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 cover art of the game is or at least the cover art for the first game was a calm pasture with like a cow, like a rainbow in the background, and you see this giant ball of like random stuff just like looming in the background, and then immediately makes you go, "What is this game?" And then you boot up the intro, and you still don't really know what this game is. The weird factor to this game is very prevalent. Um, so Katamari Damacy or Damacy as it's translated into English has a few translations, but Katamari is normally known as like a wad, a ball of stuff that just clumps together. While while the word Damacy could technically mean soul or like the essence of something. So essentially, it's a ball of stuff that's collected together, and it's and the soul of it, its meaning, is worth something. And basically, what you're doing is you're rolling stuff up to make into stars, and each star is basically it basically is describing the things that are put into it. For instance, it will get a vegetable themed name if most of the stuff you pick up are vegetables, kind of like that. Um, and you, from the way that you have this ball, a weird looking character who is talked by an even weirder looking character to roll stuff up in this I don't want to say realistic because most of the things are kind of low poly because it was on the PS2 and they wanted to have as many things on screen as possible. So not a lot of stuff is detailed. Um, you have all of these items that you just roll up into a ball to just explode to a star, and that's not even like talking about the actual story of the game. That's just how weird the game normally is. And like going into the actual story, um, the king of all cosmos, like there's several different ways to say it. There's the king of the cosmos or something. He um he wakes up from a drunken stupor, going, "Oh, I've destroyed every star out in the galaxy. That's not good." So he tasks the prince, which is the character you play as, to actually um to again roll up stuff into a ball and explode into a star. And at first you're like, oh, this is kind of cute, and then you realize one thing: the ball gets bigger every single time you roll something out, and so it slowly starts to zoom out onto the town you're in. So from the house that you start out with into the town, from the town into the world at whole, until you're essentially rolling up whole chunks of land and like things that are bigger than life, like skyscrapers and uh, towering kaiju and like stuff like that. And it's really funny to see a tiny like purple ball just sitting in the middle of like this massive ball of stupid going around. But it's great, and at the and there's a side plot where these kids are trying to tell their mom of what's going on, and you just see the Katamari like rolling into the background, but they've got an important thing going on. They have to go to a shuttle launch, where they meet their dad, and oh gosh, knew that was gonna be a problem. Um, but there was actually a distinct thing I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm actually kind of glad that my first recording kind of messed up because I completely glossed over this, and it's the difficulty of the game. Now, I've just mentioned the controls, and but the controls are one thing. The game is surprisingly difficult, and when I say that, I don't mean to say that it's like somehow rolling up a ball into things is hard. It's just it feels like the first time that you go into the later levels, you're just a little bit away from actually getting the goal. But here's the cool thing about it, and why this game overall I really like. The difficulty isn't dependent on how hard the game is. It's about how much you know. Like I had IJ play the game and tell her opinion on the actual game, and the first thing she said was, "I'm interested, but I just can't seem to master everything." about it. And it's what I feel is important to this game. You're not required to get it immediately, but eventually you will master this whole game. You'll go through the weird controls. You'll figure out how to go around certain obstacles in the environment and know when certain things can get picked up. Um, Figuring out the optimal route through a level to get perfect timing, so you can get certain things of the collection, which I will get into next. But at the end of the day, the game is only as difficult as you let it. The more you learn about the game, the more easy it becomes. When I was first starting to play, it almost felt like that the ball was so slow and sluggish that I was just never reaching the place on time. And now that I actually know what to do and I'm going through levels, the ball is just zipping past literally like everything. And again, that could be like some mechanic I don't really know about, but the game itself feels like that I am slowly mastering it. And it's what I really like. But on top of that, you have you have a collection aspect to the game, which I always like in games like this. Um, every tiny little item you pick up has a description, has a name. Some of the items and animals that you pick up have names. Uh, People in the town have distinct names about them. When you look into it, and like I'm just looking at this collection screen of like organizing smallest items to massive items, or looking at a individual location's um, amounts. Like altogether, I'm at about 78% of the collection, with almost 100% of the house because of how many times I've done Eternal One, which is basically an infinite version of that game, of that area, because you can't really, unlike other Katamari games, you can't transition from house to world. It's basically once you hit the outer edge of house, it becomes so hard to like look at the camera that it's not really efficient to like keep going. Which is what I feel like really helped the game later on is the ability to actually like render out and load other pieces of the map seamlessly. Um, and some items you can only get at like very low amounts, meaning that you basically have to circumvent a lot of the game, get to an area as fast as possible to get these incredibly tiny items. And some of them are incredibly rare. Some of them have unique properties to them. Some uh, some animals actually attack you because they're like, "Hey, I see that one of the most recent items that you picked up is my food, so I'm gonna try to run after you." And like the animals like knock you around because they're always like slightly bigger than you are, and it's like, and it's such a great aspect. I can't combine collection and difficulty together there, um, but spoilers for the final area if you wanted to know if you wanted to play the game. Um, uh, the spoilers are coming after that. So the final level, after you've completed all of the stars and you've done all the tertiary stars, like tertiary constellations like Cancer and Taurus, that are kind of like challenge levels almost, is you have to make the moon, and this is like a 300-meter in diameter item that you have to continuously roll up stuff until you get to that point where you're rolling up massive chunks of land. You basically know that you're at the threshold. You can pick up the entire mountain in which the game is based in. Pause it again. Okay, I'm back. I had to answer. I basically had to answer a few texts. Um, Final area of the game. You're ruling up stuff for the moon. The side story kind of completes, and and then the credits start rolling as you're picking up different countries on the planet because the ball has gotten so big that you're able to pick up like smaller continents to pick up even bigger continents. And it took me about like 4 or 5 tries to get all 150, 170 something. No, it's almost 200 countries that they use. Um, but it's so satisfying, like rolling all those up. But to go into Katamari Forever a little bit, they play off of this in their final level by making you go all the way from the smallest you can possibly be to where you're actually building up continents itself. Um, and then it goes, hey, you just fall off the planet, and now you're just rolling around instead of this massive ball. That's the entire universe, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty great. Um, but like I said, the when you're actually talking about the series as a whole, like, um, I have to kind of knock some points down on this one because even though it's a port for the Switch, and they dang it, and they did and they did add the new control scheme. It felt like that they didn't add anything new to the game, and I'm not going to say that's a bad thing because there are some games in which adding stuff to it kind of diminishes what was there before. But in this sort of like sense, it would have been nice to get like 1 or 2 like new challenge levels. It would have been nice to like um to modify the game so you can actually go between the different stages for the final level. Like, but that's just me, and that's just me playing the other games of the series, going like seeing where they went and kind of wanting them to eventually get there. Um, Final thoughts. This series is great, and I honestly recommend it. Like I told IJ, I don't care who you are. I don't care what sort of like level of gaming you're at, whether you're just like a casual game player or you're like hardcore into a very specific genre. You need to play Katamari. Like it is an experience to sit down, get the controls down, and you're like, I can do this. And it's like, I recently saw that there were a few people that were kind of like, "Oh yeah, Katamari came out," and they like instantly started playing it on the Switch. People I didn't even expect would have been interested in Katamari, and I am so happy that people like this series. And it really does go to show you if something gets released onto the Switch, people will pay attention to it. At the Game Awards, like people are like, "Oh yeah, um, new new Marvel Alliance game. Oh, it's only for Switch. That's interesting. Um, Mortal Kombat 11's coming out. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Uh, that's pretty cool. What? It's also coming to the Switch. Okay, now I'm a little interested in how the Switch works. Like even things um, like Joker from Persona 5 getting into Smash Brothers. People are looking at the Switch going, if it comes to the Switch, it's now interesting. And I find that really cool. Um, um, like, with the way I score some things, I give it a gold. I give the game a gold solid recommendation. Um, I still believe that this is a game that's very difficult to master, but the gameplay like almost tells you that it's possible to master it. Not in the sort of sense of it's the Dark Souls of rolling stuff up into a ball, but um, but it is kind of funny that when you really look at it, it is a game that demands to be mastered, and I love it. See you guys later. I'm gonna try to upload this a little bit later. See you guys later.